If you're in business or planning to go in business, if you're an entrepreneur or a professional, you'll love today's show, my monthly Build a Business, Not a Job podcast with Mark Creedon, founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind. And even if you're not planning to go into business in the near future, there's tips on success for you in our show today as we explain to you how most businesses never get to what we call a level 3 business because they're built the wrong way. They're built on the wrong foundations. So the business owner never has a business. He only has a job. And if you're in business, you probably understand a bit about what I'm saying. So welcome to this month's Build a Business, Not a Job podcast.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's most trusted property commentator who has once again been voted Australia's leading property investment advisor. That's the 5th time he's won a similar award in the last 7 years.
Many of us give up our jobs to build a business. We're looking for more control, more security to get away from working for the man. But not everybody gets to the sort of business that they were hoping for, were dreaming for. In fact, most end up just having a job. And that's why at Business Accelerator Mastermind, we've actually found there are 3 levels of business. So today, I'd like to have a chat with my business partner in Business Accelerator Mastermind, the founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind, Mark Creedon, about the pitfalls of building your business the wrong way. Welcome, Mark.
Hello, Michael.
Now, we've spoken about it before, but in short, there are 3 levels of business. Tell us about them.
Sure. So a brief rundown, 3 levels. Most businesses start at level 1. Level 1 is where the business is entirely dependent on you. You do absolutely everything in the business. It's a startup and it's turning an idea into a business. Difficulty with that is you have no control and you have no freedom. What you then do is you move to level 2. Now, level 2 is where you start to have some people doing some things for you. You've got some controls in place and you've got a little bit of control over the business, but it's still entirely dependent on you. So in other words, if you don't work, it doesn't work. So whilst you have control, you still really have no freedom. And what we're really looking to help people get to, Michael, is the level 3 business. Level 3 is where the business is not completely dependent upon you. You can actually head away from the business for a period of time and the business will continue to run without you. You have all your controls and systems and processes in place and you have that elusive freedom, which is probably why you wanted to go into your own business in the first place, Michael.
So in our discussion today, this isn't just for business people. It's for professionals, for people who are planning to build a business, because these ideas will help you. Because many of us want to build a business, go into business, become an entrepreneur at some stage in the future. And to be honest, it's also valuable for people who have just got a property investment business. So, Mark, what I've found is that people never get to level 3. Most people never build a level 3 business because they build it the wrong way. Yeah. What do they do wrong?
Yeah, Michael, you're 100% right. And it's a very good point that it's not just about, what we would traditionally consider to be business owners, but very much this is what I see people in professional practice falling into as well. What goes wrong is that they build a business which is totally dependent on them. And what that means, Michael, is that all of the decisions are run past them. They are the planners, they're the executors, they do all the hiring, they do all the firing, they do absolutely everything in their business. And even though they may have people on board to help them, and I had this conversation all the time, the problem is that they're just there to help. They're not actually there to decide, they're not there to control. So everything that relates to the way the business is run is locked up in what I would call the above the neck computer, Michael, and everything relies on them.
That's interesting. And you see this all the time because they want control. So what's the real reason typical level 2 business owners want that control?
Well, look, probably it's mostly fear. So they just fear. And Michael, I had this conversation with one of our mastermind members who's in professional practice only earlier this week. And he was saying to me, if I'm not in control, things will go wrong. Things will fall apart. If I lose control of what's going on, I can't trust my staff. My staff, they'll screw something up. I'll end up in a lawsuit. There's all sorts of issues that are going to happen. And so mostly it's fear, and that's what keeps them at that level, Michael.
So it's a security blanket. They're worried that if they let go, things will go wrong. Now, the problem is if you try to build a business that way, it's so dependent upon you. Are there any other real reasons why you'd not want to build a level 2 business?
Well, there's a number of reasons, Michael, but let's run through a few of them. The difficulty with building a level 2 business, where it relies on you totally, is that it really caps your income, and so therefore it caps your success. I mean, the ability to scale a business, if you keep it at level 2, you remove that ability to scale that point, to take the reliance away from you. And it's what I call the two-hand syndrome, because the reality is we've only got two hands. There's only so much that you as the business owner can do. And if you are responsible for doing everything and you've reached your peak, then one of a couple of things are going to happen, or maybe both, and that is either the business is going to cap itself or you're going to burn yourself out, Michael.
Well, I've said it before to my team, alone I can run faster, but together we can run further. So I've learned over the years that it really is important to let go control. But people tend to say, Mark, they're not going to do it as well as me. That's one of the concerns, isn't it?
Again, that's one of the greatest myths of delegation as well, this myth of omnipotence where nobody can do it better than I can. But what you and I know is that there's a vast difference between control and controls. And as you scale your business to level 3, what we work on is making sure that you've got controls in place, so that systems and process and reporting, so that you can make sure that people are doing it to the level that you want it performed at. If you've got those controls in place, then you're going to be in a position where you can monitor what's going on. You don't actually have to be doing it though, Michael.
Well, I've found that people want control because they think it's going to reduce the risk. But in my mind, it's actually different. It actually increases the risk, because if everything's dependent upon you, what happens if something happens to you? You get injured. Unfortunately, we've seen a couple of our friends, our acquaintances really become very sick and be out of action for a while. So it's not only risky for you, it's risky for your employees.
Well, that's right. It's risky for your employees, but here's a really important point that people often don't think about when they fall into this myth of sticking at level 2. Not only is it risky for you and your family, because your family relies on the revenue that you're earning from the business, not only is it risky for you, not only is it risky for your employees, but Michael, it's really risky for your clients and customers. Because if I'm going to do business with you and I look at having a long-term relationship with you, conducting business with you, particularly if you're in a service or a professional practice, I have to look at what's going to happen if something happens to you. Is all of the work that I've done into that relationship then disappeared because there's nobody there that can pick up the mantle if for any reason you're not available, Michael?
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. So customers, potential clients are going to think, hey, what sort of business am I dealing with? What sort of professional am I dealing with? Now, again, there are some doctors, chiropractors, health practitioners, for example, who, you want to have a one-on-one relationship, but I don't want to go to an accountant, a financial planner, a buyer's agent who's a one-man band. It's just too hard for them to keep up to date with everything that's going on. So we're working through some of the reasons you shouldn't be building a level 2 business. You've got to get to being a level 3 business. Any other things you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, Michael, I think probably the last sort of pitfall, if you like, I'd like to share is that it becomes almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in lots of ways. So it corners you in what we call the self-employment trap. So in other words, the more success you've got, the more trapped you become inside your business. So you're so busy doing the job, you're so busy, you're so close to the coalface that you actually can't take an objective view of your business. You don't get the opportunity to step back. You don't get the opportunity to look at what are the opportunities that exist for your business. What are the things that you can do to grow? And, you're talking about some professional practices. And whilst it's true that some professions need to have that very close personal relationship, that still doesn't stop them from being able to scale that business to a level 3 to a degree.
Sure. And I know that, in fact, one of the clients we're working with in Business Accelerator Mastermind has now got employees underneath him and has trained his clients, his patients, to actually be able to see other people for certain services. Now, actually interesting because we've mentioned Business Accelerator Mastermind a couple of times, and I know you're the founder of it, and it's something that over the years I've encouraged and paid for my team leaders and the various directors in my company to become part of, so that they've grown. And as I saw how much they grew, I've actually worked together with you now to be your partner to share the experience for lots more people. So tell us a little bit about what Business Accelerator Mastermind is.
Good question. So Business Accelerator Mastermind is a program, Michael, that takes people through a very clear process. We've got a model that we work on, and we show people how to plan in their business, how to implement those plans, how to create innovative market presence, and then how to evolve to that level 3 business. And I think one of the great things that sets Business Accelerator Mastermind apart from a lot of other mastermind programs that are out there is it's got this really nice mix of, there's lots of group work, but there's some really solid one-on-one work where people in the program actually get to work one-on-one with me. In addition to that, they get access, of course, to the skills of the mastermind community, including you, and they get the opportunity to then mix with other business people who are going along similar journeys, and they get to share that journey with them and learn from them. So it truly is that broad mastermind concept.
Well, I've seen the successes in my own team who've grown significantly, and you know who I'm talking about, and in the clients of Metropole who over the time have become part of your mastermind group, and now that I'm part of it as well. So if you're interested in finding out a bit more about Business Accelerator Mastermind, go to metropolemastermind.com.au. There's a link in the show notes, metropolemastermind.com.au, and find out about it and organise a one-on-one chat with Mark to see if it's suitable for you, so he can understand what your goals are and see if you'd like to become part of our community, our mastermind. Now, Mark, before I got sidetracked with that, we talked a bit about this self-employment trap. I understand what you're getting at, but what's the way out?
So the traditional approach, Michael, with this level 2 is people think that in order to scale their business, all they need to do is work harder. But, it's in lots of ways, that's like sort of stepping on the treadmill and saying that the way to get off is to run faster. The faster you run, the faster the treadmill goes. So it also, also reminds me of the mouse on the mouse wheel. The faster he runs, the faster the wheel goes. And you often see that in business where people just think, if I work harder, I'm going to get out of this self-employment trap. But it actually doesn't work, Michael.
Well, they do more. They actually take on more overheads, hire more employees. But if they put them into the level 2 model, so it doesn't work because all it does is put more pressure on them. So they're doing it the wrong way. They never stop running. And unfortunately, some of them come crashing off the treadmill like you see on those funny videos on YouTube.
Yeah, they do. They do, unfortunately. So it's a good point that you make there, because when we're talking about scaling and the idea of bringing more people into the business or putting some systems into the business, the important distinction to make is you've got to do that based on the fact that you are scaling to a level 3 business. So it's the model that you use, which is why in Mastermind we do have that very clear model that we work. We've got a process that we go through to get people to that point, so that we're not injecting all of that time and effort into a level 2 business that's going to stagnate at that point. It really is about doing the right things at the right time and using that model to scale up to that level 3 position.
So I guess the difference is a job, something you do yourself, while a business that you build, if you build the right business, does the job for you. And for some people, we're talking about building a property investment business, and so therefore you make money while you're asleep. And you're never going to become rich in this world unless your money is working for you and you make money for you while you're asleep, or away on holidays or enjoying your life. So I guess what we've got to do is get the right building blocks in place to help you build a level 3 business. And I know at Mastermind, you talk about systems, and boy, have you got some really good systems and models that you've developed over the last 20 years. You talk about getting the right team together. You talk about controls, and you talk about becoming scalable. I think they're all going to be very good topics for future podcasts in this series, Build a Business, Not a Job podcast. But is there any further tip you'd like to leave us as we close off this particular podcast?
Michael, there's a couple of things. I think that we need to remember that when we first start the business, we need to be really honest. When we first start the business, you do have to work hard. You do have to do everything yourself. Everything is going to be reliant on you. But the trick here is it's not the fact that you're in that position. It's not the fact that you're in level 1 or level 2. The issue is how long you stay there. So what you want to do is create that scalability as quickly as you possibly can. So it's not about working harder. It's not about doing more. I know it's a bit of a hackneyed phrase to work smarter, but it is about working smarter. It's about putting a lot of effort in at the very beginning, but then getting to that kind of fork in the road, that crucial point where you start to implement all of these systems and processes. And as you say, we've got lots of those things already done for you in Mastermind, so you can simply pick them up and drop them straight into your business, essentially, and to get you to that level 3 position as quickly as you possibly can.
Now, Mark, I also want to make it clear, it's not easy. We're sort of saying, just build a level 3 business and you can go off on holidays. We know there are roadblocks along the way. We know that there are times when you stumble. We know that some mornings you get up and think, I don't want to go there. I'm going to have troubles. But one of the other benefits that I've learned over the years and I've got from you is by having an unreasonable friend, by having a mentor, by having a coach, that's one of the ways you get through this, because there's quite some isolation in building a level 3 business. And sometimes you just need somebody to ring up and say, hey, what do I do?
You know, when people join Mastermind, one of the first things we do is we identify why they're in business. We identify what their motivator is. And one of the reasons we do that is not only to help them through those days, because you're right, wake up those times in the morning, you put your feet on the floor and you just don't want to go into your business because there's so much to do and it is hard. And, Michael, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So it is hard work. But one of the other reasons why we identify the true purpose in your business is so that when you do have those moments and you make contact and you get to talk to me, I can remind you of why it is you started the business in the first place. I can take you through that process. And of course, the other thing is when you get the opportunity to get together with other people in the Mastermind group, they will understand each other's purpose and each other's why. And it's that really supportive environment, which is very helpful as well, Michael.
I think they've gone through some of the things you've gone through. And when you have those regular live Q&A sessions, it's amazing what you can do with technology nowadays, isn't it, Mark? You hear other people give you advice. So having a group around you, a group of people who are already movers and shakers, who are already successful, that's so different to reading something on the internet. It's so different to reading a book or listening to a podcast. It's the interaction with others who've gone through it or are going through it that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both read books and like listening to podcasts like this, of course. The difficulty is that you can't ask a question. So one of the advantages of the things that we do, like you say, the hot seat, the Q&A session, things like that, the real opportunity to ask a question and get a real-time live answer. And I think, Michael, the other thing with that is that it's understanding that, you've got that level of support around you, and there's lots of people out there who are in the program who have gone through this process before. So I often say you will probably in Mastermind learn as much from the other people in the program as you will from me.
So you will learn from their mistakes as well as their successes. And that's one of the things they don't write books about, the 15 ways to fail in business. Actually, it could be a lot more than that, couldn't it, Mark? So you also should hear what hasn't worked so that maybe you don't step into those minefields. So we've spoken a lot about Business Accelerator Mastermind, but I'm passionate about it. I can hear you are, Mark, as well. So if you'd like to understand a bit more about what it could mean for you, go to metropolemastermind.com and organise a chat with Mark. Mark, we've spoken today about the reasons you need to build a level 3 business and some of the pitfalls doing it the wrong way. But because unfortunately we've been taught the wrong way to build a business, or in fact, most of us have never been taught how to build a business. So each of these Build a Business, Not a Job podcast is going to build on that in the future. I've had a lot of fun talking today, Mark, so I look forward to doing this again real soon.
Yeah, it has been fun. Thanks, Michael.
I hope you got some benefit from today's show. They're becoming very popular, as I can see in the downloads, because clearly more and more of us want to get into a business, but actually get it to give us the choices in life, give freedom in life, give more time freedom. And I hope today we've actually started to show you how you can build a business rather than just have a job. And if you're a professional, if you're in business, if you're planning to get into business, why not get Mark Creedon on your side as your business coach, as he is for mine and the team at Metropole. He's been business coach to some very, very successful entrepreneurs. So go across to metropolemastermind.com and find out about our Business Accelerator Mastermind, a great way of getting together with other successful people where you're going to get one-on-one time with Mark as well as one-on-many time with a tribe of other successful business entrepreneurs and investors. I look forward to being part of your business journey, and we'll catch up with you again in a month's time for the Build a Business Not a Job podcast, but twice a week you're going to get my regular Michael Yardney podcast. In the meantime, spend your time wisely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favorite Android app as the Michael Yardney podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success, and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropole to help you?